8th graders, we are going to be doing irregular measurements in nets. That means that we're going to have shapes that are irregular. So they're not a square, not a triangle, not a trapezoid, not a circle, but we're going to make them into squares, triangles, and rectangles. So right here, I just drew a dotted line to make a triangle and a rectangle. So now, if I find the perimeter, the area, or whatever it's asking for of this shape, I can add those two together. So in Miranda's bedroom here, we want to find out how many square feet of carpeting. Well, that's my clue word to know that I'm going to have to find area if I'm doing carpeting. And then it also wants to know how much border will be needed to go around the perimeter. So that means I need to find the perimeter as well. So what I like to do is make sure I have the correct formulas. So area, I have a shape of a triangle and a rectangle. So area of a rectangle would be base times height. And area of a triangle would be the same thing, except I have to divide it by 2. So it's base times height divided by 2, because it's half of that. Now, if I do 5 times 5, that will be the area of my square, which would be 25. And then if I do 3 times 4, which is 12, divided by 2, would be 6. That would be the area of my triangle. So if I do the area of my triangle plus the area of my rectangle, I'll get the area of the entire figure, which would be 31 feet squared. Because I am finding area, my units are squared. Now, it's also asked me for the perimeter. So now I'm just going to add all the sides together. But I have a slanted side on my triangle, and if you notice, that triangle was a magic triangle, so I knew that that third side was 5 because I knew my legs were 3 and 4. So I already knew that my third side was 5, but if you didn't remember the magic triangle, you could have used the Pythagorean theorem to find that third side. So now we're going to add these sides together. We'll do 5 plus 5 plus 8 plus 5 plus 1. Now the blue numbers with the little 3 next to the 8, we're not adding that in because that whole entire side there is 8. So I didn't have to add that 3 in. So when I add these together, I get 24 feet, just feet, because it's perimeter. I don't have feet squared, I just have plain feet because I'm just going around my shape. So that would be the area in the perimeter of that shape. So let's look at number 2 here. This one is also asking for area and perimeter, and it's of Mark's closet, and this is a weird shape too. So there's 2 different ways you could do this. I could make this into a trapezoid and a rectangle, or I could make it into a triangle or a rectangle. And so it just depends on which formulas that you want to use. Now, I don't like the trapezoid formula as much. To me, it's a little harder. So I would use the triangle and the rectangle to do this. So let's get the highlighter. Get the highlighter, and I'm going to outline each shape. So I'm going to outline my rectangle that I'm going to have. So we're going to have 2 rectangles or just 1? Or are we doing trapezoid? Well, so now that so I don't confuse you too much, I went ahead and highlighted my 2 shapes. Now, like I said, I could have divided it up a different way and still gotten the same answer, but to me, this was the easiest way to do the triangle and the rectangle. So I know that that part of the triangle is 6 feet because I know all the way across is 8, and I take off that 2, so that leaves 6. And then I know that the other side of my triangle is going to be 3 feet because it is 5 minus 2. So I know that other leg of my triangle is going to be 2 feet. 3 feet, sorry. Isn't that correct? So to find my third side of my triangle, I have to use my Pythagorean theorem. So I'm going to do 6 squared plus 3 squared equals my c squared. So 6 squared is 36, 3 squared is 9, and that equals c squared. So 44, or 45 would be c squared. Now that's not a perfect square root, so we're just going to have to find our estimate. So we know that the square root of 45 is between the square root of 49 and the square root of 36. And it is closer to 49, so it's going to be probably 6.2, 6.6, 6.7, somewhere bigger than 6.5. All right, now I have the length of all my sides, so I know I can find my perimeter of the whole shape. I just like to do perimeter at first because it's easier. So I can do 5 plus my 6.7 plus my 2 plus my 2 plus my 8, and then I can add those up. 10, 12, yeah. So 23.7, or about 24 if we rounded it to a whole number. So that would be my perimeter, and it would be that many feet. Now we need to find the area. Remember, area is just for a rectangle is length times width, or base times height, and the triangle is base times height divided by 2. So our rectangle, let's do that first. So our base and our height are 8 and 2. So 8 times 2, which would equal 16 feet squared. So that's the area of our rectangle. And the area of our triangle would be 3 times 6, which is our base times height, divided by 2. So that would be 18 divided by 2, which would be 9 feet squared. And so I have to add those together to get my total area, and that would be 25 feet squared for my area. And that's how you do that. So now let's do one more. Now this next one's going to have a circle in it, or actually half of a circle. And they actually have it divided up for us. We don't have to divide it up or do our dotted line. So we have half of a circle, we have a rectangle, and we have a triangle. So I'm going to have to find our missing side. So I do know that I do know 2 sides of my triangle, so I can find my third side of my triangle since we have Pythagorean theorem on our mind. And because we're doing area and perimeter, because it's asked for fencing as well as area. So if I do a squared plus b squared equals c squared, so it would be 8 squared plus 6 squared would equal my c squared, which is my hypotenuse. And so 64 plus 36 equals c squared. And so that's 100 equals c squared. So c would have to be a 10. So the square root of 100 is 10. So I know that side is 10 of my triangle. Now, the tricky part is doing the semicircle. So we need to find this part of the circle. And if you think about that, that part of the circle is what we call circumference, because it's the outside edge. And to find the circumference, I also need to know I'm only going to have half of the circumference because I only have half of a circle. So I know the formula for circumference would be C equals pi times D. Now, the D, the diameter of that circle, is that 8 yards. If you notice, that would go all the way across the circle. So I know that if I do pi times 8, I'll get the circumference of my circle. And I'm just going to use, even though they told me to use 3.14, I'm going to use 3 today. So I'll do 3 times 8. And so my circumference of my circle is 24. But that's the entire circle. I don't have the whole circle. So I only have half of the circle. So I'm only going to have half of 24, which would be 12. And so this part of my circle over here would be equal 12 yards. All right, now I can find my perimeter. I can add all the sides all the way around. So I'm going to have my 12 yards for my semicircle. And then I'll have 13 yards. And then I'll have 10 yards for my triangle part. And then I have 6 yards. And then I have another 13 going across the bottom. And I add those up. And I will get 6 is 12, 14. 14, isn't it? Carry my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 54 yards would be the fencing or the circumference or perimeter of that weird shape. Now we need to find the area. So now I have 3 shapes, so I'm going to have to use 3 area formulas. So let's do the one we know. Area of a rectangle is base times height. And so my base of my rectangle, which is right in the center of that shape, is 13, and my height would be 8. So 13 times 8 would be my area. Which is 24, carry my 2, 104. So that's 104 yards squared just for my rectangle. Now I'm going to do my triangle, which is base times height divided by 2. So my base of my triangle is 6. My height of my triangle is 8. So 6 times 8 divided by 2. Well, that's 24 divided by 2, which is 12. So it's 12 yards squared. And now I have to find the area of my circle. And then I'll just take half of it because it's only half a circle. So pi r squared divided by 2. So I'm going to do 3 times, and I'm not going to do 8 squared because 8 is not my radius. My radius is only 4. It's only halfway. So I'm going to do 3 times 4 squared divided by 2. So 4 squared is 16. So I have to do 16 times 3 divided by 2. And 16 times 3 is, I don't know, 48 divided by 2, which is 24 yards squared, would be that part of the circle, half of the circle. Now I have to add all 3 of those areas together to get the total area. So I will have 104 plus 12 plus 24. And so I have 140 yards squared because this is area for my total answer. All right. All right. Cheryl mounts a rectangular shaped picture in the center of a rectangular board according to the diagram below. How many square inches of the board are not covered by the picture? Well, the picture's the part that's on the inside. So that's the part that I want to take out. The part I need to find is the part around the edges there. And so we're going to shape that part in green that we want to find, and the part that we need to take out is going to be in red. So that's the part we need to take out. So what we're going to do is solve this by using our area formulas for both of our rectangles. So I would have to, area of the rectangle is base times height. And so we'll do the big rectangle first, the one on the outside. So it's going to be 15 times 12 because they said it's 1 foot and everything else on our paper is inches. So we're going to do 15 times 12 instead of 15 times 1. And that would be our area in inches. They try to trick you like that. So if I do 15 times 12, I get 180 inches squared. So that's for the whole thing, for the whole big one. Now I need to take out that part in the center. So I need to find the area of the part in the center. And so that would be, that base is 9 and height is 12. So 9 times 12 is, I don't know, 108? There we go, 108. And so now I have to take that away. So 180 minus 108. And I get 72. 72 inches squared is what is left over to be the border. All right? And so that's how you would do that problem. So let's do another one like that. It says, Mr. Garcia is going to paint a mural on the wall in his son's room. There's a rectangular shaped window that is 24 inches wide and 36 inches high on the wall. How many square feet of the wall needs to be painted? Well, we're not going to paint the window, so we're going to color in green the part we want, which is everything around the window. And then the window is the part we need to take out, so we're going to color that in red, because we're going to take it out. Now, first thing we need to underline in our problem is the dimensions of the window, which it says 24 inches and 36 inches. Now, if I look at my picture of my wall, it is not in inches. It is in feet. So I can see that 24 inches is very easily changed into feet because it'll be 2 feet in 24 inches. So I'm going to label my window as 2 feet by 36 inches, which to change that to feet, I would divide by 12, and I would get 3. So now my window is 2 feet by 3 feet, and I have everything in feet before I get started. Now I had to find the area of the big rectangle first, which would be base times height. So that would be 12 times 9, which I remember that from the last question is 108. And then I have to take out the window, so I need to find the area of the window, which would be 3 times 2, which is 6. And I will subtract those. 108 minus 6 will give me 104 feet squared is what I have to paint. No, 102 feet squared. Sorry. Can't subtract today either. All right. Is that all of them? We have one more. One more we're going to do. So on this one, we're going to take out 2 squares. And this is somebody's lawn, and then we're not going to mow it all. We're just going to, we have to mow around the boxes. So I need to find the area after I take away those boxes. So his boxes are 6 feet squares. So that means I know all the sides are 6 feet of my little squares in there. So I need to find the area of one box. So that would be 6 feet by 6 feet. So area equals 6 times 6, which would be 36. And I have 2 of them. So I'm going to have 36 plus 36 to take out. That's what I have to take out. So I'm going to take out 72. Now, the big rectangle would be 93 feet by 72 feet. And if I multiply that together, 93 times 72 is 6,696. And so I have to subtract my 72 from that. That's a big yard. And I would get 6,624 feet squared. Now, they might ask you in a problem like this, if it says it's so many, we will be learning later how to like change that to yards or to a more reasonable number, because usually you don't say 6,620 feet squared. That's a big number. All right, we will see you guys tomorrow. Peace out. Watch your video, take your notes, and learn how to do this. We're good.